So if you're anything like me, or probably everybody in this damn space, if we're being completely honest, this stuff, crypto in general, being in front of technology, looking at price charts, volatility, is in some form or fashion stressful, just a little bit. So, and it takes a toll on us, hours a day sitting on social media, perusing for opportunities. Like I said, looking at price charts, there's so many different aspects, studying, expanding your knowledge base and your skill set. Even if you're new to this, like sending your first transactions are so stressful. Sending across the PulseChain bridge for the first time is super stressful when you're waiting like 20, 30 minutes for your stuff to end up on the other side, another direction. So all this though can add up. And the point of the video today is to bring you guys 2 exercises. And this is actually the second time recording, and I'm going to try to make this one not 20 something minutes to tell you 2 exercises. So I'll keep this one very simple, but the point of this video is to help you and anyone that is watching this who wants to actually try this out, to bring yourself back down from this high erratic stress state, even temporarily. And if you do this consistently, if you're like me, because this is the big thing, this is really subjective here, but what I found is as I practice this over the years, my baseline stress levels over time reduced. And of course, I can always get stressed. I can always release more stress. But if you've never done anything like this before, 1, it's probably going to be a big challenge. And 2, if you can fight through, or not fight, but if you can sit with things long enough and work with it long enough to really allow your mind to let go of some of the stress and your body to let go of some of the stress, what you're going to find is hopefully, we'll get into a very peaceful and almost zened out state where you just feel super relaxed. You might feel more connected to your body more. You might not feel so erratic. You might even want to fall asleep. That's a symptom of this too. For myself, when I'm really stressed and I'm really tired because all the stress is adding to my exhaustion, I might find myself like baby heading, like I have my eyes closed and all of a sudden I'm deep enough where I'm falling asleep. And that's my cue to go to bed. And this is why I do these either before bed, sometimes in the morning. Bed's nice because it's kind of like flossing before you go to bed, which is not the way I normally think of it. But recently that's been brought to my attention, and thinking of it like a hygiene kind of thing works great as well. There's tons of ways to think about this. Anyways, we're already 3 minutes in and I haven't told you a thing yet. So the first exercise here, it's a game. And this game is very simple, but it's going to be quite a challenge for you. Now, the game in itself, to say there's a game typically means there is a point where you can win or you can do really, really well at the game, right? You can exceed at the game, get skillful at it. And there's skill, but all these things come back or take a backseat to the primary function and the primary focus of the exercise. So the exercise in itself is simply just sitting here, eyes closed, getting a nice comfortable position. I like sitting with my back straight, just like my legs crossed on a couch or something like that. You can sit on a chair, like even a computer chair if it's comfortable enough. You can just rest your back. You can I like putting my hands just kind of interlocked like this and just sitting on my lap and then closing my eyes. But you can do this even laying down if you like. I typically like to sit up just because laying down's too easy to start falling asleep. And if that's your goal, perfect. But I found it more effective sitting up. So anyways, you're sitting up, and every time you inhale and exhale, you count 1, and then the next time 2, 3, 4, and each time you do a full breath in and out, you count the next number. Now, you don't just keep counting forever. There's a couple things here. So what you're probably going to find if and when you try this, I hope you do, when you try this, I'm manifesting for you. When you try this, you are going to probably feel your mind wander. And all of a sudden, you're going to forget the fact that you were ever counting. And that is a great thing, actually, because it gives you the opportunity to notice, to bring awareness to the fact that you are thinking and all the stress from the day is coming up, which is awesome. You want that. You want to release that. But when you notice that, bring your attention back to your breath. Okay. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I mean by bringing your attention to the breath, but let's just go over the exercise in itself. So you notice yourself thinking, you've been counting for a while. You notice yourself thinking, you forgot where you were. That's cool. Bring yourself back to your breath. Now start over. Okay. And you don't need to write down each time you bring yourself back that I got 2 and then I got 10, or you got 100 or got 1,000. Wow, I'm amazing. It's not important. It is a little bit, but it's not important at all in comparison to everything else. The point of this is to just allow yourself to get a gauge for where you're at, get better at releasing the stress, and even doing this for 10, 15 minutes can be really powerful in terms of what I've experienced. And I know I've given this to some friends and they've given me some pretty positive feedback on how great it's been for them already. So the longer you can do this, the better. But there's no time requirement, okay? You don't need to do this for 20 minutes. You don't need to do this for an hour. You can do this for 5 minutes, try it out. You can do it for 10 minutes. But the longer you sit with it, the deeper of the state you can get yourself into. So remember that. And if you can spend more time, try it out. But like going to the gym, if you spend 5 hours in one day doing this technique, you're not going to be able to bench press 225 pounds the next day, right? If you go to the gym, work on your bench, got 45 or 35 pound plate on either side, and then you do that for 5 hours. Actually, it's really impressive if you can do that for 5 hours. But if you go to the next day, you're not going to be able to bench 225, 2 plates. You're not going to be able to do that. I'm sorry. But consistency is where it's at with this. So just to simply come back to what's going on here, focusing on the breath. And what that means, just to cap that off, is there's sensations, obviously, when you breathe through your nose, which is the point of this too, you can sometimes find something in your breath that really you can feel more so than anything else, that you notice more so. And maybe it's the tip of your nose. Maybe you just notice your nose more, okay, when you're breathing through your nose. Maybe you notice the expansion of your lungs. Maybe you notice the expansion of your diaphragm. Maybe you notice the feeling of breathing from your nostrils into your lungs and your diaphragm and back out again. That's what you want to focus on, okay? You don't need to focus on anything other than what is there present that you can notice, and just stick to that for now, okay? As you're doing this, start with the first breath. It's 1, so inhale. 1, second breath, 2, and then you just keep going. And if you notice your thoughts, perfect. Bring yourself back to your breath and start over at 1 again. And if you do notice yourself scoring high one week, let's say you did like a 50 or 100 the first week, and then the next week you get like a 1 or a 2, that doesn't mean you're regressing. That can simply mean that you've just taken on more stress that week. And so your focus is not as sharp. You have more to let go of. You have more stress to process. And maybe you fall asleep. So try that out. That's the first exercise. And if it's unclear, I'll put in the description, not in the description, but in the pinned comment, I will put the steps. Wow. Brain. Thank you. I'll put the directions and the steps to this first exercise and the second exercise. So let's move on to the second one though, because I know we're already almost 10 minutes into this video. So the second exercise is guided actually. And so you don't need to do a whole lot. Okay. All you need to do, and this isn't going to be in the video, I'm going to have a link to this track in the description below. And all you're going to do is you're going to follow the bells. Now there's going to be bells that are spaced apart fairly evenly. The first bell, so to speak, is going to give a space of like a 4 count, like 4 seconds, if you will. And that's going to be where we inhale. So if you wanted to do this without a guided meditation track, you totally could do that. My voice is not going to be in this track, by the way. It's just going to be the bells and maybe a little bit of background stuff just to, give it some ambiance. But you're going to breathe in for the count of 4, which you don't have to think about unless you want to do this without the track. Then once the second bell goes, there's going to be an 8-second delay, if you will, or a pause where this bell's going to ring out, and you're going to hold your breath for 8 seconds. Then what you're going to do is you are going to, when you hear the next bell, you're going to slowly breathe out for 8 seconds. And then guess what the next thing is? Well, we're going to hold for 8 seconds when we get to the next bell. And this is going to put us in an alpha brain state. If you don't know about brainwave states, I highly recommend looking it up. There's super simple meditations you can do to bring yourself out of the beta mental state or brainwave state, which is a more stressed state and can bring you back to a more peaceful, calming state of being, can sharpen your focus a little bit, just bring you back to the present moment a little bit more. So simply, if you want to write this down, or again, I'll put this in the top directions or steps that you can do for the exercise, the second exercise as well. But 4-second inhale, 8-second hold, 8-second exhale, 8-second hold, repeat. Okay, that's all this exercise is. If you want to follow along, I'll have all this in the track below, and I'll try to do this like as a 30 or 40-minute track. And again, this particular one, when you do this breathing pattern, when you're focused on the breath, I find personally that these breathing patterns, doing stuff like this is easier than just focusing on the breath because you have more of a direct thing to focus on. Like you're counting continuously. You're not just one and then there's this space between the two. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. You're kind of counting that through, right? So your attention is constantly on something. So it's a little easier. But nonetheless, try, if you can do both of these, awesome. If you want to do just one of them, awesome. The game is great, especially if you do it consistently. The second one, very powerful. Highly recommend trying that one as well. Both these are awesome tools to add to your arsenal, and I would highly recommend this one, especially doing it for a longer period. If you can, of course. You know, not everyone's going to want to do it or be able to do it, but 10 minutes is fine. 50 minutes is fine. Even 5 minutes. Do it for 5 minutes. That's all that matters. Like just do it, period. But if you can do it longer for both these exercises, that is the money right there. And do this over time. Like I said, this isn't, you're not going to go in, spend 5 hours and reach enlightenment or a completely Zen state. Like you need to do this every day, or if you can every day. Even start with 3 times a week, like the gym. You don't go to the gym and just, well, I mean, this is typically what everyone does, right? You go, it's January 1st, you go to the gym, you get yourself a gym membership, you spend every single waking moment or every day at the gym for 28 days. And at the end of the month, one thing comes up and you never use your membership again. And you end up paying for it for the next 3 months because you signed a 3-month membership, but you're not going to do it anymore. So figure out the way to be sustainable with this. Just add this into your routine. Even when you think about it, do it for 5 minutes. Just make it like a habit of, this is something I want to do. And slowly it'll integrate into just a habitual way of maybe starting your day or maybe even ending your day. I like both of those personally. Anyways, though, so that's the point of this whole video, is to bring you tools that while things are chaotic and stressful, you don't have to be stressful. It doesn't have to be chaotic. You can use these tools, and there's so many more than this, to bring yourself out of these stressful states and cool off and not be overloaded with all the crazy information that is constantly coming at us. So if you like this stuff, I'd love to know when you try it, what you think about it, how it worked for you, and give me feedback on what your experience was, because this for me is something I'm very in tune with from the last like 10 years. I've been working with these kind of techniques, and I really want to bring these guys to you guys because I know they work wonders when you implement them into the into your day-to-day life. Or they've done that for me at least. So I hope that they have that same effect for you. So let me know in the comments if they really worked for you. And again, there'll be a link to the Google Drive for the track that you can download in the description. And go ahead and download that, listen to it. That's going to be for the second exercise to get you into the alpha brainwave state. And I'll have the directions for the first exercise and the second exercise in the pinned comment down below. So thank you for watching. I hope you try it out. Love to hear from you, and have a great day. Peace.